what's going on, y'all? Terrence the Therapist here. Thank y'all for tapping in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you know when these videos are about to drop. So let me give y'all a little bit of a backstory to why I'm doing this video. So I was sitting in the gym, resting on my reps, and I was listening to one of my favorite projects by one of my favorite artists, the great and late Nipsey Hussle. And I had to wear my Crenshaw for this video because I felt like it was right. So back to the story. I was sitting there doing my reps. I was listening to a song called "Face the World," and as I'm listening to it, I've heard this song plenty times. I've heard this song probably over 100 times. No cap, like probably over 100 times, because I've listened to the album probably about 200 times, just since it came out. So I'm sitting there listening to it. And then I think I just came from a different lens. I don't know what happened when I was listening to it, but I picked up on him talking about suicide. And I was like, what? Did he really touch on this topic of suicide? And I know Nipsey Hussle, he usually talks about business, entrepreneurship, talks about how to grind, how to hustle, obviously by his last name Hussle, talking about all these different things. And I was like, dang, how did he end up talking about suicide? And me being a therapist, I had to tap in. I was like, oh, let me run that back, because I was like, what is he talking about in this song? So the song is called "Face the World." It's off the Crenshaw album. If you guys have not heard that album, probably one of the best albums, independent albums you can listen to just in general. I know a lot of different ones are up there, a lot of new artists out there, such as G Perico, one of my top 5 for sure. G Perico, Larry June, another one of my favorite artists. They have a lot of different projects. And again, I'm kind of biased because I am from California, so I listen to a lot of Bay Area music, a lot of LA. Even though I do reside in Texas now, I don't really, haven't really tapped into the music scene just yet, but I digress. I would just, it's my opinion. Y'all can say whatever y'all want about it, but that's just my opinion. That's my jam. So this is what he breaks down suicide. Self-inflicted homicide, don't pull the trigger. I feel like I gotta tell you, you got something to contribute. Regardless of what you're into, regardless of what you've been through, I feel like I gotta tell you, you got something to contribute, something to contribute. Hey, yo. So again, I listened to the song hella times, but this is the first time I really broke down that actual lyric. So when he says self-inflicted homicide, that was a red flag for me. I'm like, self-inflicted homicide, that is suicide. So self-inflicted homicide is obviously somebody killing themselves. So before that verse, he talks about an artist by the name of Jean-Michel Basquiat. And I was like, I wonder who he is, because I've heard his name, and obviously I heard this song, but I'm like, did a little bit of research, and I realized that he was a famous artist that died off of a heroin overdose. And I was like, okay, let me look and read into some of his work and what he's done. And when I seen this picture, I was like, oh snap, this is the picture that was going around for millions and millions of dollars. And I believe Jay-Z bought one of his paintings. And it was crazy because I was like, okay, bet. So I think Nipsey was kind of tying into him overdosing, self-inflicted homicide, and just kind of speaking on, I guess on an artistic level, how artists, or maybe just people in general, don't feel like they have something to contribute, but they actually have a lot to contribute. Such as this artist had a lot to contribute, self-inflicted homicide, whether if it was an intentional overdose or if it may or may not been. But I feel like this really spoke to suicidal ideations, suicidal thoughts. There's been a lot of research that shows that many people who do attempt suicide may not have been wanting to kill themselves, but actually just wanting to get rid of the feeling that they're feeling, not wanting to die, but not wanting to live in that space and those feelings that they felt. And I really felt Nipsey, because, I've had my own suicide ideations as well too, when he was saying, have something to contribute. Regardless of what you've been through, regardless of what you're into, you have something to contribute. And that was a bar in itself. And, I was like, wow, that's crucial. That's crucial because, many times when we do get in these depressed modes and we feel anxious, we feel like we want to end things, and we feel like, we don't have anything to give or have anything left. It doesn't mean you have to be super depressed, but it also means like, hey, you probably have a purpose. You probably have something to contribute. Your story isn't done yet. And when we do talk about suicide, it's not, we're knocking people for having suicidal thoughts, or we're trying to, disrespect your decision to take your life or anything like that. But I feel like there is a point, when we talk about, trying to overcome suicidal thoughts, where we have to really try to take a stance and like changing our perspective on things. And I think that's what Nipsey was getting at, is like, regardless of what you're going through, regardless of what you're into, regardless of your circumstance, regardless of your lifestyle, regardless of what you've been through in the past, regardless of like what you feel like your future may be, in this present moment, you have something to contribute. He also has a lot of bars and other songs talking about like, if you don't find your purpose, you're wasting air, and you got to really lock into like who you are as an individual. And again, I just wanted to share this video because I thought it was just a bar in itself. And I always admired Nipsey's work. He was an artist that was gone way too soon, way too soon. Make sure you guys check out Face the World. Listen to the whole entire song, but that last bar is something big, something huge. And I appreciate Nipsey for dropping that knowledge and dropping that, even though the tape came out, some years ago. And I've been listening to it, but I heard it in the gym today, and I'm like, damn, that's fire. That's fire. As Nipsey would say, the marathon continues. Thank y'all for tapping in. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. If you feel like Nipsey was an inspiration, and even in this stanza, in this bar, that he was really speaking on suicide. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, y'all take care. Peace.